All right, welcome everyone into episode number 35 of the Hooley podcast. Off of another week hiatus, we weren't quite able to connect this weekend. Just a lot of moving parts, world opening back up, a lot of things happening here. So, first off, Mike, how you doing tonight?
Not bad. Miss you guys.
I know. It's again just with our move to in two different places at once here, or I wish I could be two places at once, so we're kind of bouncing back and forth between the two. Also struggling because since we're moving, as I was telling Mike before, not wanting to move my ACs up yet, but that's proven to be a terrible mistake because I'm just sweating through every day here. But hey, I think it's going to cool off a little bit in the next few days, get back into the 70s, high 60s over the
Yeah,
next 10 days or so.
got some raindrops coming in. Cool us down.
Yeah. So I think tomorrow is going to be 80s, and then I think it's going to be 70s or under for the next week and a half. Which again, I'm not normally wouldn't be super happy about, but like again, just given the circumstance, I'm ready for anything. But yeah, so we have a lot to catch up on. Obviously, NHL and NBA playoffs in full swing right now. So we have about a week's worth of material to catch up on. I think when we last were on, it was a 1-1 series between the Bruins and Islanders. I think that's where we'll start, obviously, with the lone Boston team left in playoff action right now. So we'll start there. Bruins, again, they were able to win game three. I think it looked like the momentum was again shifting a little bit back towards them. That game on Thursday night, I'm getting my days confused here. Obviously, that one went into the overtime. They kind of let in that late goal to go into overtime there. But again, a pretty big win in Long Island or on Long Island. I never know how you say
I never know.
But then they drop game four again, a game that we watched together, Mike, and I guess we'll start there just because game three was a win, so we don't have much to dissect. I think unless you wanted to hop in that one a little bit. Again, it's so hard doing three games at once.
Yeah, I guess the takeaway from game three was that I went into the weekend not feeling too bad because I feel like it went very different ways. With game two being hot start for the Bruins, Islanders took it over. They were lucky to force it in overtime, then lost on a bad bounce.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in game three, the Islanders, we dominated most of the game. The Islanders were lucky to get in overtime, and then we just took a random shot on net and won. So it seemed like two games that could have gone either way. We dominated game one, coin flipping 2 and 3. We should have been up 2-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I think either way, being up 2-1 after three games was, I think, a very fair spot to be in. Which took us again to Saturday night, the 7:15 puck drop, also on the island there. So again, we watched together. It was good to get back into the city. It was crazy down there. We had some trouble. We kind of missed almost the whole first period, just trying to get into a place down there, which I guess we should have thought about. But hey, it was still fun to be down there.
Coming back from different locations, I think we're
yeah. Again, I was at Caitlin's nephew's birthday party. I got home pretty much. Was home for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then just booked it right back onto the tee. And again, next thing I know, we were downtown and just getting into. Luckily, when we were waiting in line at Causeway, which again we didn't end up getting into, there were TVs outside, so we saw a lot of that. And again, a play. I think this is when we had split up for a little bit, Mike. You, Jack, and then myself. The David Pastrnak missed goal. I saw that on my phone. Again, that's the clutch part of having YouTube TV. I was able to kind of get it on the go there. It was a wide open net that he just straight up whiffed on, and that was kind of a bad omen for the night.
Yeah, you heard a moan and like somebody even cheers. So you thought they scored, and then we got over to you. I saw it was 0-0 after one. I was pretty confused, but it seemed like he just missed it on the doorstep.
Yeah, it was bad, and again, I think it was one of those goals you almost as Eck would say, you got to have it. Like you had to have that thing. And they weren't able to get it. And then, we were able to settle down for periods 2 and 3, at least like you and I, rather, and actually get to a location and watch it. And it was just a tough one that, again, it was 1-1 for the longest time. And then Islanders obviously had that goal to put them ahead, and then the 2 empty net goals at the end to tie this thing up at 2 games apiece coming back to Boston. And even then, it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, it didn't feel great, but also, 2-2 series coming back home, I don't think you feel too awful about going into.
No, I mean, it was kind of one of those games where you really just want to get to put your foot on them, like foot on the throat coming back home. But
yeah. I mean, it was a tough loss, but I think you weren't. It wasn't quite doom and gloom yet. And then we got to last night's game, and again with the move, I was kind of working on our pool situation last night because of hot weather. So I was mostly I had to get on my phone outside. So to catch a lot of details of it, it just seemed like kind of a scoring frenzy there for a little while. I know Pasta hit the early goal really early in that game to go up 1-0, and There was kind of some back and forth there, and really just overall, it seems like again the main takeaway from the night was just the D was not working. Again, whether it's again, the difference of pairings, and obviously Tuca 4 goals on 16 shots, not what you want to see. Blame as much on the defense as you will, but obviously not a great situation there. And then they actually benched him for the kid Swayman here, who also let in a goal on 3 shots, so it didn't look great with him in there either. But just overall, defensively, kind of a complete disaster for the Bruins.
Yeah, likewise, because the early puck drop at 6:30, part of my daily routine, kind of ate in the first half of that first period of that game. I was able to kind of ready settle in for the second and third, and people complain about the refs, people complain about Tuca. I think it's all in the D, and I guess like you can blame the D, but it's just they're just not good enough right now between injuries with Miller being out, Carlo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was in game 3 where he took the big hit. They haven't won since he's out because that's where you had to get Tenorti in there and Lazon.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of just like Tenorti is definitely a big guy and kind of like him as like the oaf at the back end, but he shouldn't be playing in the playoffs. Like he should be kind of like sparing
he's
some
like
guys.
He should be mixing things up. You know, you want to bench a guy for a game, throw him in there, not like the
and then
guy.
Of course Lazon's had his struggles, and even me, I feel like I've been very critical of Mike Riley ever since that turnover he had in game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was game 2. Even in that loss, we woke up Barzal, who's been incredible in the series ever since that turnover that led to a Barzal goal. He's been going off. Talk about a miss there in the 2014 draft.
Yeah, what was that again?
Remember
is that when they had the 3 picks in a row?
3 picks in a row, and like later on, I think it was like 13 through 15, and then Barzal went like 18.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely. And did anyone come off that anyway? Like, or was that just like 3 busts?
I think the third one's a bust. One was DeBrusque, who.
Oh, okay.
Well, and I think the middle pick was Zaboral, but he's just been out for a while. He looked pretty good when he was up with us this year. I kind of liked him, but yeah, even just mentioning he's out, Carlo's out, Kevin Miller's out. It's putting a lot. McAvoy's been great, but I think he's a little banged up because I remember hearing quotes from Cassidy saying like, "I wish I could play him every 60 minutes in the ice." And if you looked from like the Washington round compared to now, he's gone down from like 30 to like 25, even with all these injuries for time on ice. So he clearly isn't 100%. So it's putting a lot of pressure on him and Grizzly because they have to be out there the entire power play because no one else is really a threat.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So they're just very weak in the back end, and they couldn't get out of the box. I mean, you can blame the refs, but you can't get in the box. Even like Bergeron flicked one in the crowd. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think that's I think we were talking about it before, the situation where again, if you're not kind of intensely watching, I didn't catch a lot of these calls, but again, you see it you hear it from both sides of the coin. There's some people that'll always blame the refs, some people that'll never blame the refs. Maybe a small contingent in the middle that kind of swings one way or the other, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I think you gotta. I mean, you got up 5 goals and 19 shots. Like, I mean, come on, like that's just not a recipe for success.
Yeah, and you gotta give credit to the top 2 lines. At least they finally got back.
They did, yeah.
Even the Coyle line looked a little better because they inserted Kuhlman in there for DeBrusque in game 5, and they were like, because it was really just sluggish that game 4. There was a lot of slop outside of that one goal. Like they only really had 2 scoring opportunities in that game. Like looking back, it was only the goal and the Pasternak miss, and the rest were kind of just like
we
had nothing. And it was on both ends too, because I believe Barzal like slapped it in on midair for like the second goal.
He did. Yeah, that's right.
It was that game was a slugfest, and you just went back into this like 80s style like 5-4 game in game 5. We're talking about 2 different games, but you got to give credit, especially to.
I know it's tough. Doing like 3 games at a time here, but
but you got to give credit to Barry Trotz for putting Varlamov back in, because I know Sorokin was very good in the Pittsburgh series, but having the faith to put him back in, and he's been hot. And last night he stood on his head, despite giving up 4 goals.
So because it was on 42 shots, I think.
Yeah, it was incredible. Because there were moments in that game. There was moments in that game, I believe, when it was 1-0, and definitely when it was 2-2, where like the Bruins could have just grabbed momentum and ran away with it. And stopped every single shot, and then it would be a breakdown in D followed by I knew, especially when it was 2-2. They had all the shots on net, and they had a breakdown in D, and I forget who was just right in front of that untouched. So I can't really blame Rask on that. And there was another stupid penalty, and then a softie and a power play, 4-2, and the life is just sucked out of the building, especially when he had to switch to Swayman and he lets that go pretty easily. He did it. He did
Yeah.
a nice breakaway stop to start the third, but he let in not like the easiest goal. I mean,
Right.
not the
Yeah. No, I saw that too. It was
yeah,
great. It
that
was
was a
pretty
little so.
Yeah. So
They
that's kind of the
fought back,
question.
and
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
kind of
know.
the question going into game 6 here. I mean, obviously down 3-2 now. Obviously one, what are they going to look like? And two, who's in the net? I think that's kind of the real question as we go into tomorrow night.
Yeah, I want to say. I mean, I got to leave that up to health rather than skill. I'd say.
Right. Because again, it's tough because, I mean, one way or another, it's obviously not going to work this way, but it seems like we're reaching the end here. And I really just wanted him to get the job done. It seems like something that should have happened 2 years ago if it was ever going to happen with him, but it just,
Yeah, yeah, and even on the forward side, and like I'd put some
right.
I'll put some for Richie. I don't know, I'm not a big Richie guy. But
No,
also,
I just mean like a
oh,
guy who's like
Lazar's out too. Forgot about that. So
okay.
that'll probably be the takeout for Richie I wanted. I'm just gonna just need healthy skaters.
Yeah. Well, no, I just mean more so like, I mean, Tuca, again, I'm obviously a big pro Tuca guy. I think all the anti Tuca is like the whole ammunition behind the whole thing is that he can't win the big one. So that's why I wanted him to be able to get this done. It just seems like one way or another, that's just, obviously it really does not seem like that's going to happen this year. And then, who knows what happens in the future. It seems like this could be the end of the road. It could be the switch to Swayman, at least long term, even if it's not tomorrow night. So,
Yeah, and I feel like I'm taking crazy bills because like you see like 4 goals on 15 shots. It's like he sucks. It's like, well, that's not entirely his fault, but like, yeah,
right, exactly. I mean, even so, it's like, I mean, but even if that was the case, like, all right, that's one night. It's not like this has been a constant problem. I mean, like,
well,
again,
yeah,
listening to the radio, they're a very anti-Tuca crew. Like, if you listen to like every game, it's like, well, I mean, he might not be the reason they won, but he's not the reason they lost. Like, you know what I mean? It's just
Mhm.
even they haven't been hard on him until last night's game. So it's like he's played solid. So even if it was one game, that's fine. But it seems like there's a lot more going on there.
Yeah, and then like if we end up losing game 2 to Washington, I was all aboard benching him just because he needed a spark, and it was early in the series. But now it's like kind of like, well, it seems like if you have trust in the guy, you got to ride him out. But I mean,
Yeah.
I do see the fact that like okay, like Trotz is like switched his goalie a bunch, just riding hot hand once he gets cold to go to the other. So
Yeah.
you never know.
We'll see. We'll have to see. Like I said, next time we're on here, one way or another, well, Bruins will either be into the next round or eliminated from the playoffs. So we'll just have to see, like I said, what happens there. Again, it seems like they're trending downward. So I'd say my official. You said you think they might lose. I think they're either going to lose tomorrow night or they're going to win. They're going to win the series. I just think like it just depends on like because right now they're just so beat down that like they seem like a team that might just kind of like fade away.
Well, I mean, this is my take before. I didn't get to say it in time, but this is my take going
Oh,
into
sorry.
on Monday. So
Oh,
I guess
right.
I guess I had a luxury if I was wrong after one game. I could have
Yeah.
just never said this take, but because it was my take after one game, my take was I was getting after that game 4, I was getting bluesy vibes.
Yeah. Oh, on
And
Saturday. Yeah.
yeah, like that game 4, it's like, oh, we should have put them away, especially because like we seemed like we dominated the first 3 games. We were only up 2-1 because I remember there was a fluky overtime loss in game 2 in Boston.
Right.
We didn't have the shit pumping that was game 3 when we won 8-1 against the Blues, but it was we should have.
I know you mean a team that you're better than, but they have it for some. They have something there for some reason.
Yeah,
Like,
and we lost game. I mean, they played after the fact. We lost game 5 at home, but
yeah.
so whether we'll have enough fight, I think the one thing is that we were kind of healthy back then. Where now is we like I think it's going to come down to health in game 6.
I agree, and it just doesn't seem like they have a lot of
on the back end, especially.
Yeah, so they just seem like too banged up to win this series. But again, we'll see. Again, game 6 tomorrow night. I think it's 7:30 puck drop, and then if they win, could have a game 7 on Mike's birthday on Friday. So we'll have to see. I know it's like one thing that could be fun, but again, logistically, we'll just have to.
Be a nightmare.
Right, like I said, with this, especially with it'd be nice if it was almost during the week. I like the 7 o'clock, or again, we had 6:30 last night, but yeah, on the weekend nights, it seems like an eight could even help a lot. But yeah, we'll have to see if those two cross over one way or another. But so again, a lot of time in the Bruins there. I'm honestly, Mike. I mean, these next two divisions kind of wrap up pretty quickly here. I think Lightning closed it out tonight against the Canes. They snuck one overtime win in Game 3, but Tampa Bay just looking like an absolute force again, coming off the championship from last year. Again, just looking absolutely dominant. They were able to take care of the Canes tonight to close it out in 5.
Yeah, pretty wild game 4. It was I think the second period had like 7 goals, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was 4. It was actually 4-2 Hurricanes. Then the Lightning went up. They were able to tie it 4-4 before the end of the second, and then oh my god, the Kucherov is just fucking incredible. Sorry.
Did you see? I saw some stat tonight. Like, actually, I was like kind of actually taking a quick power nap, so I didn't quite see it. But it was like through 100 games, it was like people to have like so and so points, or it was like this many goals plus this many assists. And like the only active player who has it is Crosby. Like in Kucherov, it was like he was the only one to do that. So
yeah, he had an amazing goal to put them up 5-4 in that game, and then even I think like the equalizing goal they had was just perfect passing. It was incredible.
Yeah,
like between
Braden
Point, him, Stamkos,
they're just loaded. They're absolutely loaded.
Palat, and then even
Vasilevsky,
just being on the back end is just incredible. They
they
got away with not paying Kucherov like all year.
Yeah. Well, something I wanted to bring up, and this is kind of a little bit unrelated because again, like I said, they won in 5, but something happened at the end of the second period. I think it was. It might have been the first. I can't even keep it. Anyway, end of one of the periods. And this is my my rule change that I want to have happen because I think it's so dumb. I think if you get the puck off your stick, the goal should count if it goes in the net. Because what happens, Stamkos had one tonight. I never see buzzer beaters in the NHL. I don't think I've ever seen one in my whole life. And it got off his stick, but they went to review it. It did not pass the line on 0 seconds. I'm like, come on, let's make this a little bit more exciting, a little bit more high scoring. You're probably rarely going to run into an instance anyway, but it was so lame that the buzzer goes off, the puck goes in the net, and it doesn't count because it didn't cross the line in time. So that's my brief change there. It's like that's what makes kind of the end of an NBA game so tough or so exciting rather. Because now in hockey, you pretty much have to have it off your stick. I don't know how I know people shoot really fast, but you pretty much have to have it off your stick with like what, a second and a half, 2 seconds left.
Yeah, it depends how far away you are. But the one hockey rule we did talk about and we liked. I love if you lose a challenge, power play.
Oh, power play. Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a moment when the Bruins could have stepped in the throat when they were up 1-0, and they had a power play right after.
I would say adopt it in other sports, but I feel like in football, the timeout's almost worse than like a 10-yard penalty or whatever you'd make it. So I actually don't. Yeah, basketball would be interesting though because they have a million timeouts anyway. So if you just have like two technical free throws or something, like that could be a huge thing. But yeah, we'll get to basketball in a bit. But yeah, so again, that's all I had for the Central. Just seems pretty straightforward. I know you kind of got into the wild game 4 there, but Lightning on to the Final 4, if you will, because I know it's tough because there's no conference finals. It's weird with the 4 divisions, but I'm almost calling it like a Frozen 4 type situation. And then, like, the entire length of time between our 2 podcasts, I know we talked about the Maple Leafs blowing it and the Canadiens winning. They're already done. They're already on to the next round. They've swept the Jets in 4 games, all between our recordings, which seems really crazy. But I guess it's just how time works if you play every other day. So yeah, they're on to the next round and awaiting the winner out west, which we'll get to in a sec here. But this team, man, like, I mean, like, I don't even, again, just like, it's extra annoying because they're kind of, again, the Bruins' big rival here, but man, what a run that they're on.
And like even this, it's a very likable Canadiens team with, I gotta get his name right. Well, Suzuki's incredible. He's their center, but Cole Caulfield, right winger for them. He's on that same line as Suzuki, like incredible team. I think like he's going to be on the first line of Team USA's team up in 2022.
Okay.
So it's a very likable team because like I think even like they say like that. I think I saw like Blackburn to be like, as a Bruins fans, I hate how much I like this Canadiens team. And it was like replied, it's like even Corey Perry like isn't even that bad right now.
Yeah.
Well,
and I've always sorry, go ahead.
The story of the series came in game 1 with the Scheifele hit on I think it was Jacob Evans, and that just really set them back because Scheifele is one of their best players and he get a 4-game suspension. So talk about how bad that is. You just get to sit and watch your team get swept and know what's left for you. Know what's left for you next year? A suspension for the game at the beginning of the season.
It's the beginning. Okay, at least it's not playoffs or anything. I didn't know if that's like a thing that happened, but and also I've always kind of like not through the whole rivalry. I've always actually been kind of a Carey Price fan. He's kind of a fun guy to watch too. So yeah, again, I hate giving me all this Canadian love here, but Yeah, they're out of the next round
last
too.
team in, and they made it back-to-back years, or like they were the last team
Took
in
the
the East
12
last
seed last year, right? When
12
they
seed
did
last
that
year to beat
24
Pittsburgh.
team. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're a classic, like get them in and they'll like got to be in it to win it, right? Like they don't miss the play. Like if they just get in, they make noise for sure.
yeah. I believe even wasn't the year that the Bruins blew it against the Flyers. The Flyers,
Yeah.
that was the thing. The Canadians were like a 7 or 8 seed that year, and they
Mhm.
made it all the way to the conference finals. Like the Flyers were like a 6 seed, as like
Yeah.
in
Oh, I think they might have even been a 7. I don't even. I don't know, 6 for 7. I think it was.
yeah, and they were hosting
So they had home ice. Yeah, they had
because they
home ice.
received
Yeah.
it back then. So
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah. So yeah, they're in there, and then the big story is really out west, where I think we kind of had a flip of the script here. I think we saw those first 2 games in Colorado, and it looked like we were straight up on a collision course for Colorado versus Tampa Bay here. Real southern matchup there, Mike. But anyway, yeah. So again, I know they absolutely demolished in game 1. They were able to win game 2 as well, but Vegas came back and they defended their home ice out in Vegas, and we have a 2-2 series now. Game 5 happening as we speak now, just getting underway, still 0-0, about halfway through the first period here. So I'm glad we're getting a real competitive series here because it looked like Colorado was going to run away with it.
yeah, game 1 was an absolute blowout in Colorado's favor.
7-1.
7-1, and then
Yeah.
I think game 2 seemed like Vegas played like as good as you possibly could, and he still lost
yeah.
in overtime. And so I was kind of nervous with Vegas coming home, but they really eke out a win on Friday, and then on Sunday night they absolutely just blew the doors off them on 5-1. So home teams has 1 blowout and 1 close win. So very exciting. I really hope this game goes 7 because you I guess I was saying going in because like I wasn't too impressed with Tampa this year. Forgot until they got Kucherov back, but I was gonna say you could have argued that this is the like cup if you look at points wise, like it's the 2 best teams. But
right. But Tampa's been on such a roll that
yeah,
you can't really count them out.
I really hope this goes through 7 because I believe that
agreed. Yeah, agreed.
That one will probably be on Saturday, right? Yeah, that'll be Saturday.
Yeah, that'll be Saturday. Yeah, it's also funny too because again, you're talking to say we live about the 6:30 puck drop, and like maybe that's too early, but I love it for this situation because now it's 9 o'clock. I'm like, especially on a night where we're recording, I'm like, oh, I can make this whole game as long as it doesn't go to overtime. Like that's reasonable.
Yeah,
like 11. You know what I mean?
Well, I just hated it last night because like they just didn't have a different channel last night. Like they've been airing games on like MSNBC and CNBC forever.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they handled that game 4 last night was the first half of the game was on NHL Network. And then once the Bruins ended, they just like, okay, now you can show it.
That's interesting. But yeah, I appreciate that in both hockey and basketball. That's why I like the bubble last year for basketball, as we kind of make our transition there, is like 6:30 and 9 starts. Like, okay, I can stay up and watch this.
Well, for me, like
10
that
p.m. So like, oh my god,
that computed for me. Like, okay, this is only East Coast. That makes sense.
Right.
You know, like usually it's like every night's one network, whereas like hockey, like they've made it a thing to be like, okay, it's all across like NBC stations. Like they clearly have used like CNBC like in the first round.
Yeah,
like, several East Coast games.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a weird day in Boston with a 5 and 6:30.
Yeah. But it was Red Sox that they were 5 yesterday.
It was a makeup.
Because that was the one makeup versus Miami, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to that later on in the episode here today. But big news also came. So as we switch to the NBA, and really before we dig into these series here, huge bombshell dropped hours, I would say, after we dropped our. I mean, probably closer to 12, but anyway, hours after we recorded our podcast. Big shakeup for the Celtics, obviously. From a management position. So the big news comes out that Danny Ainge is out, mutually agreeing to part ways. And if that wasn't crazy enough, Brad Stevens, the head coach, becomes the president of basketball operations, which is certainly something I didn't see coming. I don't think anyone saw coming. And again, a lot to think about there, like how much, of this, like, again, how things happened, whatever, a lot to dissect there. Real weird situation that happened last Wednesday morning here.
Well, I know I was on record here saying that something had happened. I believe it was Ainge, just because it was like, was it 20 years, something like that? And
18 years, yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like his way of hoarding picks, developing up. It hate to say it,
Yeah.
just isn't the best way. I mean,
It's
it's
just weird because
definitely
he
better than
nailed that net.
sucking.
It's just weird because he nailed that whole Nets deal and drafted well with those two, and then it seems like from like the Tatum draft on, things have just gone downhill as far as like how he's
It
handled
was just all like
situations.
this auxiliary moves, like
Honestly, because you know what
just
happened
like
right after the Tatum draft?
he had the Kings pick, he had like this pick, and
Yeah.
just like he
No,
could have
but it was
sold that
the
years.
first. Sorry, we keep talking over each other.
I was gonna say he could have sold in that years past and got a little more value,
Yeah,
like an actual like ready now player. But yes,
yeah. No, I was just saying, like, because you know what the first domino to fall after the Tatum trade was, if I have my timeline right. Kyrie. They were in the same offseason. That's all I know.
yeah.
So it seems like nothing that was, again, it's so easy to have revisionist history on it, but it's like that move happened. Then, like you said, these picks from teams that are historically garbage have one good year the year that we have their pick. Like
Hayward broke his leg.
hey, really, that's honestly, yeah. Like you could say
That was
whatever
the
with
same
Kyrie
last
is
season
that
too.
it's well, no, that was it because you draft Tatum, you acquire Kyrie, you sign Hayward. I know those, it's kind of a different order there. I
Yeah,
think they had Hayward first, right? Yeah.
yeah, because that was like July, and then we got
Because
Kyrie.
they delayed his press conference
Yeah,
forever. Remember, like he got signed, and it was like weeks or maybe even a month before they had his press conference. So then, yeah, those two, yeah, a lob to Gordon Hayward really just like ended the Celtics. I mean, again, that run in 17-18 was great, but then obviously everyone came back together, and it was a huge downfall from there. But like you said, hoarding of the picks, not pulling the trigger on certain situations, and I don't know. It's so tough to say because people are like, would you trade like Jalen for a year with Kawhi to maybe win a championship? It's like, well, things might not break out the same way. I mean, I know we probably had a better team around us than Toronto did, but it's like that's a lot of it was because of Jalen. So it's hard to kind of like, yeah, it's hard to work that in.
That's like the worst thing that's going to happen with arguments. Like
Yeah.
that's one bad thing that happened from Kawhi winning with Toronto. It's like,
right.
well, if you did that, you got a guaranteed championship. Like so happened with Kawhi and Anthony Davis. And it's like, well, it also took Kevin Durant tearing his Achilles, and then
yeah, exactly.
It's not like Anthony Davis
butterfly effect. Maybe he doesn't do that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's not like Anthony Davis won. That was a Mickey Mouse ring. We'll get to that later. And then he joined LeBron. So
yeah, I don't know. It just would have been. It's again, that's such revisionist history. Now, like again, you still have your core here, but I don't know. So that's just kind of again the Ainge
maybe
moving
in like 3 years when it's like the Raptors when they lost like 6 straight years with Sam Lowry and DeRozan being like, okay, we got to do something.
Right. It would have been early to break that core up. Like where it just didn't really fit the mold. If like, yeah, I don't know, if you had instead of Tatum, you had like I don't even know, just like another good wing that was like 28 years old versus 22. Like I don't know, whatever he was at the time, like 20 years old. It seems like a weird time to kind of like sell out for 1 year and give up on a young core. And like again, obviously I'd take a championship, but yeah, that was never. Just because that's ended up what happening there. If things play out different ways, it's not like, oh, then we would have then won the championship because we had the player from ended up being the best team on that championship. So yeah, I think that's kind of a big revisionist history one. And then also kind of where we go here, the new coach. So we kind of talked about this on Saturday night, off air, obviously, but I don't know. I think you have to, well, number one, I think first and foremost, my number one pick for a coach is who Tatum wants. Fill in the blank. Give him a piece of paper, he can write it down. But if he's fine with anyone, then my number one pick is Sam Cassell. I think they just need a former player, someone who's can really relate to them. Again, Brad obviously was, kind of like a D3 college player and just kind of came up a different way. I just think something new too. Just I don't know, something come from the mold. Cassell I think is a big pick. That's probably my number one. I know there's a few candidates out there. I don't know if you had anyone you were thinking.
I mean, he's definitely at the top of my list too. Also, like Chauncey, because the fact that he was, whereas like Cassell like has the ring with the Celtics, he wasn't like the big one there. Like I guess you could, I mean, we're getting
versus Chauncey leading the team.
I mean, we're getting to a point where I'm like, oh, I remember being young watching Chauncey, but I'm no longer.
Yeah.
Like Tatum was probably what, like 4, like.
Yeah, not that old. Probably 6. And then there's obviously again a lot of talk about like Becky Hammond too, and again the one that came up from Felger's phone today is that Tatum wants Larinaga. Yeah, I that doesn't really move the needle for me, but if it's Tatum's guy, fine, I'm fine with it. It's just like whatever is gonna keep him happy.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things like not my first choice. I want whatever Tatum wants, and it's not like he wants like
To the ridiculous, yeah. Like I don't even know.
Hubert
Like his
Davis, not Hubert Davis. Jeff Capel, something like that. Like just like the old assistant from Duke.
Yeah, he's not just like pulling. It's like that's someone he's worked with, and I think was even up for the coaching. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was up for the coaching job. I remember seeing rumors of him back in 2013 when Doc
Mm-hmm.
left. Before Brad Stevens got the job, he was kind of in rumors. So he's been with the team a long time. So again, I think someone like Cassell or Billis would be more exciting and kind of my first pick here. But again, if Tatum wants Larinaga, make it work because that's what this league is about. It's a player driven league and all that. So hey, I think you got to go one of two ways there. But again, as long as it's someone that Tatum at least approves of, and Jalen too, I think you have to take his opinion into consideration too. He just seems like maybe a little more flexible there because Tatum's going to be getting the more of the superstar status. But yeah, I think that you just can't go the same direction that you were in. Unless it's something Tatum. That's one of the problems with Larinaga because I feel like again there was also a rumor on there that he just like didn't want to make it work with Stevens anymore. But it's like Larinaga kind of seems like he's kind of cut from the same cloth as far as like he's been in that system for years. So would you be better off with someone new? But again, we'll obviously see what happens there. Hopefully they Brad Stevens, the now head of basketball operations, makes a good coaching hire. But again, that situation we'll have to keep our eye on there as we move forward. Also announced tonight, before we get into the playoffs here, Jokic announced the MVP of the league. I think something that we all saw coming, but I think they said the lowest drafted like MVPs were like Giannis and Kawhi at like, or no, Kawhi didn't win. The youngest was like Giannis at 16, wherever he was drafted, and then Jokic was 41, so not even close. Like just a second round pick out of. I don't know if you saw this going on the internet, Mike, too. He was drafted during like a Taco Bell commercial. Yep. It was like, because like once you get to the second round, they don't show the announcement for every pick. They do the commercials. So yeah, someone who wasn't even worth cutting to the podium for, now the best player of the league, what an MVP this year. Just a great story for Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, I like something like an article like who's the second greatest, like the best second round pick of all time. And it was like a lot of names started there, like Ginobili or like Dennis Rodman, but now it's like, well, he's the only one that's won an MVP. Yeah. I think he already is. Like maybe
that's true.
Like I think the only one like there are other ones that were like relatively good. I'm blanking on the names. Draymond, yeah. I think like the thing is like like you can be a second round pick and be like the third or fourth best player in championship teams. Like that's like kind of like
right, exactly
the usual ceiling. Like like Rodman was not putting up these numbers. Neither was Green. Like Green can do a triple double, but like it would be like 15 would be his max across any category.
A lot of that would be how long he sustains it. But again, Jokic is only 26 now. Like he's got a lot in front of him. So
and like of course, I think ever since that bubble where skinny Jokic showed up and they made the conference finals and now he's winning an MVP, like I think his usual thing was like enjoy his off season and play his way into shape the first like 4 to 6 weeks. But now I think he's just fully committed to this.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be happier. He's probably one of my favorite players to watch. So
yeah, and it's awesome. And they're obviously in the second round now, which we'll get to in a sec. But interesting because I think Embiid came in second overall, but he did not. He was like fifth on first place votes, which I found like crazy. Like Steph had a few. I think who else was up there? Like Chris Paul had two. Like and Embiid only got one first place vote, which I found interesting. Derrick Rose got one. I guess there was one sort of fan vote, so Derrick Rose got that one. So that was funny, but
I mean,
overall though,
I think everyone thought with Embiid being like
just like locked in at number 2.
Like like he great year, but didn't play enough games. So second place. Like that was the way I thought about it. Like Embiid couldn't have won with a lot of games he played, but at the end it was like, well, Curry's making a run at it, but like he made his run and came in third according to me. So
yeah. So I'm trying to think. I had the whole breakdown here. Jokic with that 91 out of I guess 100 first place votes. Embiid had 62 second place votes. Yeah, so it ended up being Jokic, Embiid, Steph, Giannis, and Chris Paul came in fifth. I don't hate Paul 5 there. It seems like a pretty good spot. Derrick Rose actually, because of that first place vote, I feel like he came in like 8th place, something like that. 9th place over Rudy Gobert. That's funny. But yeah, so why don't we get into the actual playoffs here? Just quickly going through a recap of I think the Celtics were getting extinguished the last time we were on here. So that series obviously ended. Philly took care of Washington, and then Atlanta made quick work of the Knicks. It was good to see them back, but yeah, just the Hawks ended up being too much. Trae Young being the villain that he is, kind of went into MSG and won that game 5. So again, pretty light work in the East. There was only 3 games won by the losing teams combined. So not too exciting there. No game made it past 5. No series made it past 5, rather. So that quickly put us into the second round. And I guess we'll lead off with the series that's the deepest in right now, and that's 2 games in, and the Brooklyn Nets absolutely taking the Bucks behind the woodshed, especially last night, winning by almost 40 points. And I really thought this was going to be a good series. So I thought this year was going to be different for the Bucks, and it just is proven not to be at all. They just seem like the same old Bucks that kind of fall apart in the playoffs.
Not like one team that needs a coaching change. I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think the stepdad's time's out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, it's crazy because that was such a change from Kidd, who was there, initially. So, but I agree. They should almost look to, again, a lot of the same names we were talking about for the Celtics hire. Just, I don't know. Something seems to be not working there. And again, they're kind of doing the same thing where you're running into the same wall every year and not really changing. I mean, they're trying to change the roster. They added Drew Holiday, like we talked about, adding PJ Tucker.
They try to get,
I don't know.
Try to get Bogdanovich.
Oh, right. That was it like the tampering thing?
Yeah, the Descent Trey got tampering, so then the Kings just let him go to the Hawks for nothing.
Because they're the Kings, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, just get absolutely waxed. Something that I think I saw got Greeny tweet out, just like Chris Middleton's like splits per playoffs have just gone down ever since that 2018 series where he hit the buzzer beater after Terry hit the shot with like 0.4 left, and he's been just a problem for the Celtics kind of really ever since. But guess what? Conveniently, we haven't played him the last 2 playoffs, and his numbers have really kind of gone down since then. I think he's down to about like 41 from the field, like high 30s from 3, and he started at like almost like a 50-40 type those first 2 years against the Celtics that he was in there. So really seeing a decline for Chris Middleton. Giannis still has not proven to have any sort of consistency with this jump shot, which is, obviously something this team is running into. And it's tough because obviously, like, again, not to just completely crap all over the Bucks, because the Nets look amazing right now. They did this last night with James Harden not even play. And I think we're getting a prime Blake showing up too for this Nets team, which is fun. He had that insane dunk last night. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, that was which one?
I think there was one that was like almost like a putback or something. He just came flying out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was a putback where like Joe Harris apparently now can box out Giannis and Middleton.
Yeah, Joe Harris. Oh my God, this team is just.
And then he's posterized Giannis, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, he just seems back.
There's also rumors of like Dinwiddie might be back for the finals. Like,
oh God, yeah. Is it bad that, like, I don't know? I don't think I hate him as much as the other two, but I almost just don't want Harden to be validated with a ring here. Like the other two, it's like, all right, well, they already have a ring, like whatever. Like that's like, I think it was even just the initial. If Harden didn't come here, I wouldn't be as upset. But I'm just like, I know he gets a ring out of this too. It's just like this never-ending chain of like people getting into the rings that they don't really.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. Whereas like, if that trade didn't happen, I'd be like, oh, sorry for Karis LeVert. Like you like the like Karis LeVert, Jared Allen. Like there was like Burton's quote unquote Bridget Nets.
Blake obviously still here, like but like I'd probably still root against it, but it wouldn't be that bad. Yeah. Now I'm just like, oh, I just don't want to see that. But yeah, so again, they just seem like they seem more dominant than both the hockey teams we were talking about earlier. Just I don't know. And Mike, here's the real question: did we put up a better fight?
Well,
through two games.
It's interesting because I can't tell.
We didn't lose by 40.
Yeah, and then also like, were we just like the warm up?
Like they weren't trying. Probably. Yeah, that's obviously true too. But that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
You're just taking what we can get.
Yeah. Sounds like like a Tatum by himself seems to be doing better than this Bucks team so far anyway. But again, hopefully things change when they get back to Milwaukee. But I don't know. This is
we saw Milwaukee. I mean, conference finals years ago, they won the first 2.
That's true. Almost the reverse of that. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It just seems like the Nets are at the very least on a cruise ship to the the finals, I'd say. I mean, who knows? I mean, Philly could give them trouble. I mean, they're kind of in a game with Atlanta right now. But again, that's kind of a good transition into the next series here. Trae Young went into Philly and stole game one. Again, stays absolutely on fire, kind of continuing his dominance from the Knicks series there, and had 35 and 10 in game one. And Embiid had 39, but it wasn't enough. And the Hawks, again, they snuck in there and they stole game one.
Were you able to watch that game?
No, again, another one where I just have
I
so
actually
much work
did
outside,
catch a lot of that game. It was a nice Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. I
Thought was-
prioritized watching the game we'll talk about a little bit after that was the 3:30
yeah,
game that day.
I just had nothing to do, so
Yeah, no, if I was sitting at home, I totally would have. But anyway.
yeah, I just sat down, took some cat naps between basketball games, but it was pretty incredible. It was the Sixers, one of the best defensive teams, let up 74 points in the first half, and they're down by 20 like most of the game. It was a pretty much annihilation for the Hawks. They just at the very end like couldn't break a press, and they finally tried. I think it was just another bad knock on Doc, because I think there was a solid like, I want to say like 8 minutes at like the end of the first quarter and start of the second where like they rode their bench, like not one's there, and that was when I got back from doing errands. I saw a potential apartment, did grocery shopping, and then of course I bought a lot of groceries.
Mike's to-do list that we're getting
into
now.
And got McDonald's after. So like by the time I was like running around,
Loving it.
Yeah, I was 20. The Hawks were by 2 by the time I settled down, and then I sat down. It was like a 10-point game, and then I was like watching this, and I'm like, how are the Sixers the 1 seed? Just like looking like what was like on their lineup. It was just like a lot of just.
Yeah, well,
like a good bench, but like the fact that they're riding them so much, and that was like really when the game flipped.
Yeah, and really, because I saw again, I just kind of gone off stuff I saw in the pregame today. Like Philly actually looked pretty good the last like 3 minutes of that game, right? Like they really came back and made it.
It was a lot of pressing, and then it was like they made a run, and the Hawks kind of did it, and then it was a lot of, speaking of Bogdanovich, they just like kind of like took Trae out because they weren't letting Simmons defend them. There was a lot of just Danny Green on him, and
and that's a stat I wanted to bring up too. Yeah, so, because
I think they kind of like put a lot more pressure on Young and just forced Bogdanovich to beat him, and he missed like 5 straight shots. I got really close, and then he had 1 dagger 3, of course, like shush the crowd, and it's like, well, you kind of just missed a lot of wide open looks. And then they almost, and then they kind of settled down for a little bit, went up by 6, and like they couldn't break it the press again, and then it was like a couple, like 1 missed free throw away from the Sixers having a chance to tie.
Yeah, well, and something I wanted to bring up too, because again, I saw this stat in the pregame. You were mentioning the switch on defense there. They showed the stats of like him on Danny Green and him on Ben Simmons. It was like he scored like 22 points on Danny Green, and again, I don't think he was on Simmons for that long, because I think he was only like, but he was like 0 of 2. You know what I mean? He didn't have any points, so that's obviously the much more desirable situation for the Sixers on defense, who are, I don't know. I didn't want to count Trae out, but they look like they're on their way to tying the series up. They're up 104-86 right now. They just seem like lights out from 3 right now. Steph looking as accurate as his brother, and Shake Milton just hit a huge 3 as well. I keep thinking it was Tony Roten for some reason, that number 18. I don't know why I got that name in my head, but anyway.
One day Shake Milton carved up the Clippers.
Yeah, very strange. But also, I have a brief. Again, I have enough complaints about the NBA uniforms and when no one seeming to want to wear white at home. That's my first gripe. And second of all, a combined effort with that, we have Philly wearing blue at home, Atlanta wearing red, and the entire Philly coaching staff wearing red. So I keep getting confused as to like what bench it is. Like Doc's wearing a red quarter zip, but his team's wearing blue, facing a team that's wearing red. And then he played for the Hawks, so that's also very confusing. So I got so rattled when I saw. I'm like, wait, Doc, the coach of the. I'm like, oh wait, no, he's this. I actually paused for like 3 seconds. Like, I'm like, wait, did Doc really become the coach of the Hawks? Like,
getting delusional.
Anyway, yeah, it's like just wear normal colors, and even if you don't, at least be consistent about it. Shake Milton just hits another 3, so they're up 19.
Poor colorblind people.
Yeah, right. Well, at least there's no green involved. But yeah, it's. As you see, John Collins attempting it there. Yeah, they just seem like they've been lights out from 3 tonight, because again, they were up a lot, but Atlanta kept coming back. But it seems like now they're knocking down 3s. Oh, Shake just went for the heat check. But anyway, yeah. So I guess that I think tonight is a must win for Philly. I mean, you never know, because they are the better team. And we just saw the Clippers kind of do that, which we'll talk about in a sec here. But Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's good to see that there's some sort of resistance here from the Hawks, but again, it looks like Philly's gonna hold on here. Well, certainly, if anything crazy happens, but yeah, again, it seems like we could have at least a decent series hopefully here with Philly and Atlanta. So that's what we have as far as the East goes. Again, hopefully the Bucks can get back into this, make that series a little bit more competitive. But we do have a bit more cleanup for round one out west, Mike, because I think we're at 2-2 at a lot of these series when we talked last. And so basically, Mike, we'll start with kind of the biggest news out west in round one, and the Suns did it. They did the impossible, something even though they were the 2 seed, something I didn't think they could get done. Granted, a lot of injuries. We saw Anthony Davis out game 5, then briefly tried to play game 6, but they took care of the Lakers, knocked them out in 6, and the defending champs are out.
Yeah, really balanced attack in that game 5 game at home. And then just Devin Booker, man, just completely took over that game. And
yeah,
hate to see the Lakers, LeBron being out west, missed the playoffs, Mickey Mouse ring.
First time ever that he was it missed the playoffs, bubble ring, out in the first round. His tenure in LA.
No series victories at the Staples Center.
That's true. That is very true. And also leaving that game early to get treatment.
Also hates his country.
Oh yeah, not gonna play the Olympics. Going to
Toon Squad.
That was so fun. Oh, who's Whitney going off the other day about like talking about a cartoon movie.
Dad wasn't happy about that either.
Oh god, well, obviously. It's just really like, well, I mean, it's one thing. It's like, okay, I think you could do that, but like just the timing of it, because it's like, okay, if you're 36, you don't want to go to the Olympics, fine. Let the young guys.
And especially after going from literally playing as many games in the bubble as you physically could to a grind of a season. Like I'd be shocked if any team. Like I don't want Tatum or Brown playing. Like
right.
So
yeah,
like, well, if he's just like, hey, I'm old. I need to drink some wine and do like.
You just say you'll think about it, and then just like come out like
or even if he said right there, like, I'm not playing. I'm 36 years old. I need it. Like I'm never going to be fully healthy again. Even if he said that, like that's like.
Also, I want to have the younger guys have an opportunity. Like I've been there, before and all that. But anyway, but also just like again, the leaving early thing to get treatment. It's like, dude, like, what if this was like a close game? Like you would have had to get that treatment at the end. Like you would have to wait a half an hour anyway. Like so, it's just kind of a lame excuse. And again, I'm not trying to pile on too much. Again, I thought some of the theatrics this year were a bit much, but him losing. I mean, I almost feel like the who is it? The Will Arnett whatchamacallit, Arrested Development meme. Like, I think I've made a huge mistake just because I'm like, well, we're the Lakers the one team that could beat the Nets, and I'd rather have them than the Nets. But clearly not this year. If they lose to AD wasn't going to be healthy. LeBron's clearly not fully healthy. They have a lot of issues, but good for the Suns. I'm so happy to see them. I thought they got really the short end of the stick into the Lakers in the first round, but hey, they proved all the haters wrong, all the doubters, including myself, wrong. I was so happy to be wrong about that one, but yeah, good to see the Suns in the next round there.
And just to go ahead, they're already up 1-0 on the team we'll get to in a second. And that was really
They
bad.
are. And I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to kind of go like, let's do the first round first, then we'll get into the second round. And then we'll kind of like, does that work?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I tried planning that out here. So just kind of running through the first round here. This was actually right after the pod on last Tuesday. I think I was just up and I saw the Blazers game was close. And Mike, this was truly one of the most insane performances I've seen from an individual on a basketball court. Just single-handedly, Dame. This team was down late in regulation. Looked like the game was over. It's like, okay, well, I guess if I hit this 3 here, they foul, they hit another quick. It's one of the situations that is never going to play out, and it played out. Gets them to overtime. Then they're down 10, I think, at one point in overtime. And this dude's a one-man wrecking crew. He's absolutely. He's hitting threes like he was looking like Steph. Like I'm not joking, no exaggeration. Pulling up from anywhere, off balance, falling back. They're all going in. It was absolutely insane. Like I said, I know you called it early that night, and again, the Nuggets ended up winning. But I just have to give a shout out to Dame. That game was just absolutely incredible. And
yeah, was it only like 52 on like 24 shots or something like that?
55 on
24. I think it was 17 and 24.
I think they showed regulation or not. I think it was both overtimes. He just like scored pretty much all their points, if not all of their points. Like no one helped. And again, I'm a big CJ guy. He was kind of a no show. Melo was missing some threes late. Something that really hurt them in that game was that Nurkic fouled out with like 4 minutes left in regulation. So
No, he's there. He's their anchor.
I mean, Jokic just did whatever he wanted essentially down low. Like they tried putting Cantor on him, that didn't really work. They tried putting Melo on him at times. Just yeah, I mean, it was really more. They honestly played small for once he fouled out, it was mostly like the lineup was Dame, CJ, Melo, Covington, and Norm Powell was like kind of like they played like 2 guards and 3 wings, but yeah, just an absolutely incredible outing for Dame. And I think once that happened, I was pretty convinced that their best case scenario was losing in 7, that they might sneak one in game 6, but they ended up losing in 6 in that one. And that's another organization, just to kind of briefly talk about them, that something's got to change there.
Well, Stotts is already out the door for one.
Right, exactly. But I even with like, I don't know, the roster team, yeah, that they could definitely benefit from.
Well, even like Dame said he would be there for life, and he's kind of even like making some subtle comments. Nurkic made some not so subtle comments.
Get him to Boston. Oh wait, what were Nurkic's comments?
It was just like I was like, yeah, like I really wanted this to be the right situation, but it might not be the right situation or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just they seem like, yeah, I'm trying to think of a comparison, like because it's almost like not quite these Celtics because they're still so young, but just like the same team just running it back, and they can't even. Again, they had that Western Conference run a few years ago, but outside of that, they keep like not doing as well in the regular season as I think they should, and then ending up again. Obviously, they had rid of the Lakers the first round last year. Yeah. What'd you say?
I just said guarantee because Chuck last year.
Oh yeah, guarantee. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, get Dame to Boston somehow. That'd be great.
I mean, that's again, like I'll give you Kemba in like 6 first-round draft.
Kemba Smart and everything else you want in the world. Yeah, I mean, again, I think if you ever require them to require giving up Jalen, which I don't want to do, so I don't know. But anyway, could end up in New York. But I think their best move is I don't know. I mean, try to keep Dame. If anything, I try to trade CJ and like I just get some different mix in there, almost like a.
I mean, apparently he gets traded for anything nowadays. Like maybe ship him to Indiana for LeVert, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like I feel like something's got to be different there outside of the coaching staff. And I think Dame. I don't know if he retweeted it or liked it. I think he might have retweeted someone that just like was. He even said he's just like, I love Coach Stotts. Like, I understand though, like that this had to happen for both sides. Like I loved playing for him. Like I respect him so much, but like, yeah, I think this just needed to happen for both sides. So yeah, he also wanted Jason Kidd for some reason, and that's not going to happen. But anyway, yeah, back to
like you mentioned at the end of that game 6, like they had some momentum, and then it was just like Stotts just working freeze to call timeout. It was like Monte Morris was going off on them, and like I think Lillard was on the bench a little bit too long, and just. I don't know, that the way that game ended, it was just like they were up with like 5, and then they just the Nuggets like just kind of took the game away from them. And it was just the perfect like, what the heck are we doing here in Portland? So
right, so they have a lot of decisions to make. Do you kind of gut it around Dame, or do you just get rid of Dame included, like everyone, and just completely restart? But I don't know. That's a situation because that's the team I like. I love Dame. I like the Blazers as a whole, and it's frustrating just to see him do the same thing every year. So. We'll have to see what happens there. Again, he wanted Jason Kidd for some reason, but it looks like that's not going to be a thing that happens. But yeah, we'll have to see. Again, I think there's a lot of good candidates out right now, and also a lot of good jobs between the Celtics, the Blazers, and who knows, potentially Milwaukee if they kind of fizzle out in that series. So, a lot of times it's good coaches or okay coaches in bad situations. I think we have a good crew of coaching candidates who can also end up in good situations here. So we'll have to see what happens there. And then finally, to wrap up round 1, the one that actually overlapped with round 2 is Clippers and Mavs, a series where up until Sunday afternoon, the road team had won every single game. I thought we were going to get maybe a 2019 World Series type vibe here. And Luka really came out of the gate hot. I think he had like 27 in the first. Some insane number in the first half or first quarter or whatever. Ended up with 46. But at the end of the day, the Clippers do hold on to beat the Mavs in 7. They win the first home game of the series. And I think something that would have been an epic disaster for the Clippers if they lost that series, and would have been impressive for the Mavs. But ultimately, it is the Clips who knocked the Mavs out for the second straight year here.
Well, remember how kind of making you eat your words.
making me eat my words.
Well, a couple weeks ago, you're like, I don't know, like were we kind of too ahead of ourselves saying like Kawhi is like a top 5 player in the league?
I mean, I'm still there now. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like again, you beat the Mavericks. Like I'm not. Yeah.
But that game 6, he had 42 points, and he
Right.
was doing whatever he wanted in game 7. So
Right. No, I just meant like no, it wasn't even top 5. I think like again, myself included. I was coming off. I'm like, is Kawhi just the best player in the league? Like I was like coming off that season. I'm like, wait, he literally just took this team that kept running into the wall and he took him to a championship. I think that's where I was getting a little like, oh, is he up there with like Braun and KD and all this? I think that's like where he's still like I think he's still like a top 5 player in the league. It's just
Boardman gets paid.
Boardman does get paid. So again, they do advance there. Again, they avoid disaster, and they'll start tonight. But we'll kind of hop in. And again, I know I cut you off earlier, Mike. I just want to talk about it was good to see at least one game 7 happen in the first round. I know it got kind of anticlimactic by the end, but
yeah, it was what was it, 20 points across for Paul, Ayton, Booker, and Bridges.
Yeah, so again, so getting into that Suns game, that's another thing I wanted to say. Another even effort. You think of it as being kind of like the team, but Bridges was actually the leading scorer with 23.
Yeah.
And I think they are all between like 20 and 22. And also did you see almost the floor shot got like recreated last night with Booker?
Mm-hmm.
He had that 3 where he got knocked down. He was laying on the ground almost like we saw in the bubble last year. So yeah, again, impressive outing in game 1. Like I said, against the Nuggets there. That game happened last night. 122-105 the final. So won pretty convincingly there. And I don't know.
Tied at the half and a huge run for the Suns to kind of put the game out of reach. And like I said, Monte Morris with the injury of Jamal Murray has been really good for them in the playoffs, and he had an off night shooting last night, so that kind of did it in for them. But it's good to see the stick, man. The stick's wild.
That's the talking stick arena. I know it seems like the jungle out there. But no, that's funny too. You bring up Monte Morris, and I know we probably talked about this but he's honestly probably the biggest reason that Dame was just like his effort wasn't able to come back in game 5. He kept knocking down threes to kind of hang with Dame at least a little bit, which was enough to keep him there. But
and even in game 6, it was like I said, like the Blazers seemed like to be like almost about to put it out of reach, and he had a floater 3. Like I think they had a couple good baskets to like cut it down to like 5, and he had a floater 3 at the buzzer to make it like a 2-point game going in the 4th, and kind of got the rose garden off a little tense, and it seemed like they kind of fumbled the bag after that.
Right, but yeah, going back to last night, another situation where again, just old man yelling at cloud over here. I do wish they just wear the home whites instead of the I actually really like those Valley uniforms. I think they're cool. I'd rather just like wear them on the road. But anyway, and also when we get to the playoffs, I like it to be a bit more traditional. But again, I'll try to stop complaining as much about that one. But yeah, I mean, Suns, they're looking legit, man. Again, and they're knocking into the Nuggets, but I'm so in on this Suns team. I think they're just so exciting to watch. And again, hopefully we get a good series here. But I'm glad they won game 1 at home.
Yeah, I think that was why like last year I was kind of like really pulling, like I don't hate the Clippers, but like I was like rooting for the Nuggets, and it was like, well, last year like I really wanted the Blazers to make the conference finals, and now with the Nuggets too, and now it's like, well, I don't like the Nuggets, but now I just want the Suns to.
Exactly.
And especially like then it's kind of like, oh, they're just gonna lose to either the Warriors or the Lakers, and it's like, now hey, the Suns could make it. They're just probably gonna lose.
I don't know. I think it's. I don't think because again, the only team that finished a better record than this year's Utah, and that was really by 1 game, and that's the final series that does start tonight. Jazz versus the Clippers at really right now, actually, or probably in a few minutes here as they wrap up the first game. And also,
nothing against what Tibbs did. I think he's very deserving of Coach of the Year, but shout out Monty Williams.
Yeah, I think any other year he wins that, but what Tibbs did with that, I mean, like, there was potential with this Suns team, and granted, he did elevate them to a high plane. I think even if the Knicks snuck into the playoffs as like a 7 or 8 seed, Moss probably takes it home. But yeah, taking the Knicks from a joke to the 4 seed, and especially since you're not accounting for the playoffs, I think it was a tough year because if there was every year for Coach of the Year, it would be this year. I'm usually not a big splitting an award guy, but this might have been the year for it. But anyway, yeah, going back to Jazz Clippers, I don't know. That's a series that the Clippers just seem like the better team, even though they had the worst record. The Jazz, have that bench scoring between Ingles and Clarkson, but I don't know. Definitely pulling for the Clips in this one. I think the Clips Suns would be an awesome
Mhm.
series and one that I want to see. But yeah, we'll see. We
Rematch
actually
of
have nothing to talk
that
about yet.
shot of the
What's
Booker
that?
bubble shot would be a rematch of that game. That was Suns Clippers.
Right, yeah. In the one of the final, yeah, the regular season bubble games,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So that'd be fun. But again, we have a long series ahead of us. The Jazz coming off of a 5-game series against the Grizzlies there, kind of like in the gentleman's sweep there. But then Clippers off a grueling Game 7. So I don't know. Maybe this does favor the Jazz because they're a little bit more well rested versus a Clippers team that again just finished their 7th game on Sunday afternoon here. So we'll see how that one works out. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see if anyone could beat the Nets throughout this whole thing. I think the Clippers probably have the best chance on paper just because they have Kawhi. So I guess if you're rooting against the Nets, as much as it hurts, you might have to just root for the Clippers to win this whole thing. But we'll have to see how the next days and weeks play out here. So, a lot to recap between those two playoffs here. I think we're about the hour pump. We do have a few other topics to talk about. Unless you had anything else to add for NBA.
No, I think the one thing I remembered halfway through that wasn't the list was Tibbs. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Tibbs waiting for the tweet. Like I said, we talked about there, and yeah, 2 well-deserved candidates there, but it's Tibbs that takes it home, and yeah, we'll see how the rest of these go. We're down to the final 8 here in the NBA, so yeah, we'll see what happens and see what we have. Maybe a few more games in here, and again, hopefully, we'll be able to hop on some point this weekend, so we don't have another week break between here. But we gotta have some more games to recap there. So let's hop over to a final few topics here. We'll start with MLB here. Again, so tough to keep your eye on everything with all the sports happening, especially myself with all the moving that's happening as well. But again, like forgive me if I'm wrong here, and it's tough because they're losing 7-0 right now. But the Red Sox, did they just sweep in? Did they just 7-1? Did they just sweep in the Bronx? Is that what just happened over the weekend?
Yep, first time in 10 years.
Yeah, they swept in the Bronx. Okay,
Dude,
all right, cool. That's always fun to see.
I have a hot take.
Okay, let's hear it.
I don't think the Yankees are good at baseball.
I mean, certainly doesn't seem like it. I mean, again, we just came off a brutal stretch against the Astros, losing 3 out of 4, and then
now we're losing.
We came and swept you. Yeah, we just can't play the Astros, which is again a side topic. But I'm choosing to run with some positive here. Again, a sweep in the Bronx. I know there was that controversial third strike call because it's funny. I think I was in bed and I was like about to like go to sleep. I was like, should I throw this on? I'm like, nah, it's fine. And then because Barnes actually blew that save, right? Like it was.
Yeah, I think
they were winning by a run in the 9th.
That was his 3rd straight day of work, which is tough, especially in New York.
Yeah,
and especially one of them, Workman. I think it was it was after the Dahlback home run. It was a nice comeback on Saturday night. They were down 2-0 early, and then a lot of Verdugo, and then Dahlback put the game out of reach to a 7-3 game. But then I think Workman gave up a run to force Barnes into action, and then he just had to come in, and even Verdugo kind of like bobbled the ball out there in left field, which gave Judge enough time to score from first on a double by Torres.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was quite the sequence. We're gonna get to the fight that quote unquote that happened on Sunday night, but I was kind of watching that before that got going. And
was it the Tim's one? Is that what you're talking about? Him yelling back and forth?
It was just that whole sequence of just like how bad that missed strike 3 was, because it was it was first and third 2 outs, and that strike could not have been further away. It was like Levon Hernandez-esque. If you ever remember that playoff game back in like '97, look it up on YouTube.
I saw the clip get retweeted, and yeah, it was bad. There were a lot of outside balls getting called in that game. But
I do like the classic Red Sox trolls online just being like, "Good pitch."
Good pitch. It's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
They got into extras, and literally everyone is just yelling at the umpires. The home umpire won't even look. So the second base umpire says start ejecting people, and he's like, Marcus Thames is just yelling at him. But then
I think it's so funny that was him, and just like his assistant coach now.
He's the hitting coach.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Then he just starts ejecting like back up their space coach because he thinks he's saying because he's the second base umpire is the one ejecting people. So like they literally have like a 10-minute delay just to like sort through who is yelling at stuff, and they end up picking the wrong guy anyway. Meanwhile, Aaron Boone is just like not saying anything. I don't know how he still has a job.
Well, it's funny too. I see it all the time. It's so like, where do you think Aaron Boone's career is if he like just like whiffs on a knuckleball from Tim Wakefield?
I don't know.
Or that goes like a little shorter. It's a
That's
fly
the
out to
thing.
Manny.
You can very much argue that home runs were the best things that's happened to the Red Sox.
Because Prince Manny. No,
Well,
but like honestly, think about him. Like I don't even know if he gets the job at ESPN and then like the job.
yeah,
It's just like it's so different. Like I mean, he was like a solid like role player kind of, but like I don't know. I think so much of his career just came off of that home run.
like Brock Oldby wasn't funny.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah. So obviously
Yeah, it was
they. Yeah.
wild. Xander came through in the top of the 10th for the 2-run single, and it was just I missed a lot of It was on TV because we're at the bar, mainly watching the Bruins. So I was able to turn around and watch a little bit there. It was a
On
good
Saturday,
weekend.
you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, and then even on Friday too, just a good weekend from the bullpen as well. Okay, especially with
Mhm.
Ottavino and Whitlock coming back to the Bronx after
That
the
trade. Yeah.
Yankees. Oh, even Whitlock being a Rule 5 guy from the
Yeah.
Yankees. Is the fact that
Yeah.
these two guys just got him from nothing. I think Cora did that on purpose. And then
Yeah.
Sawamura had like 2 innings of 5 Ks. Even Josh Taylor's
Mhm.
getting outs for us now, and Phillips Valdez ended up getting a save in the 10th inning. So just a good weekend from the bullpen. And then Marvin Gonzalez has had that game time home run in the 7th inning. Run for us on fire. Like I said, Dahlbeck had a home run
Mhm. Mhm.
after that huge slump. Like all week in Houston, I think like the core of our lineup was hitting like 060 down
Mhm.
in Houston, able to bounce
Not
back,
good.
pretty easily, even with JD being on the lineup too. So it was just a
Mhm.
very,
Okay.
very good series coming out of that.
Yeah.
You have to go to
Absolutely.
Houston and the Bronx for 7 games, and after losing the first 3, being able to end that with 4 straight wins is amazing.
Mhm. Yeah. But yeah, so Red Sox, I mean, going into tonight, they kind of, again, it was a tight division for a while. And now the Sox and Rays kind of distanced themselves a bit from the rest of the division. Like they were Sox are on a half game for the Rays, and then the Jays and Yankees are kind of 6.5 back. So a bit more of a gap between the top two and the next two out there in the AL East. Um, Again, Mike, feel free to jump in. I was just going to kind of quickly run through the divisions. I looked at a lot of like the last 10s. A lot of teams playing pretty much 500 ball, like going like 6-4 in their last
Yeah,
10.
there's been a lot of just
Uh,
no rhyme or reason going on recently.
yeah, White Sox still 4 games up in the Central. A's and Astros stay atop the AL West. Again, pretty much besides Texas, who went 1-9 in the rest in the entire division, 6-4 in their last 10. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't think much to write home about there. Uh, again, Mets again leading a very mediocre, and I wrote West, I meant East, despite their injuries, and DeGrom's just again not human essentially.
I think he has like more hits than earned runs.
Like hits as a hitter
Yeah,
than he's given up runs. Yeah,
yeah,
that's just insanity
yeah.
on
And
both sides. I mean,
like you can even like he missed like I want to say like 10, 15 days, and you can argue he's like the MVP. Just what he's doing is ridiculous right now.
yeah.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. No, it's insane. It's absolutely insane what he's doing. So yeah, it's just absolutely dominating. Like you said, I'm not even a huge pitchers MVP guy, but
If you're doing stuff
man,
like
I
that,
don't know.
like he's getting compared
Yeah,
to Bob Gibson, like his season so
yeah,
far right now. I mean,
yeah. Jeez,
you'll never throw as many innings as you did back in the '60s, but
right. But that ERA, I know that's been like, was it like 1.12 or something like that? Like
Gibson,
that's the Bob Gibson record.
yeah.
Yeah, it could happen. I don't know. It's insane. Then Central, I think that's where there's a bit more of the craziness happening. Brew Crew, your Brew Crew, Mike. I think you picked them with a division beginning of the year.
No, I was on the
Excuse me.
Cardinals.
What's that?
I was on the Cardinals, but I do.
Really? I was on the Cardinals. I thought you were on the Brewers. Man, I don't
No, we
know.
both did. There's on that wall behind us, the
Well,
hats.
I know you got the hat, but anyway, Brew Crew 9-1 their last 10. They've taken over the NL Central. Meanwhile, the Cards have slipped into third, so kind of a flip
Yeah, there
off
was
those two teams there.
I was watching that series a little bit because they had a wild game on Sunday, so, and they at home they got 4 games swept by the Reds. So I mentioned this later, but they're down 7. The Cardinals were down 7-0, had a 7-run sixth, and then end up losing 8-7. Like I seen that, and I think I was watching their game on last Thursday. They had a lot of opportunities to win games late, and some like dumb managing, some dumb execution. So very, very tough weekend for the Cardinals, and they're over in Cleveland or hosting. Yeah, they're hosting Cleveland right now, and they're down 5-1. So it's been a pretty rough homestand for the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, Brew Crew take advantage of the Central. Giants taking advantage of San Diego and LA cooling off a bit. I think they were only like 3-7, 4-6 in the last 10 each, so they stay atop, or they're at the top of the NL West right now. And then Mike, I know there were a few other notes here that you wanted to kind of get to. I know that the home run race and this whole substance situation. So I'll kind of let you take those two away.
Yeah. So to finish up on that, yeah, the Braves were able to take care of the Dodgers. I think it was a 2 out of 3 series, and then the Padres had the Mets in town, and they were able to. That was a split in a 4-game series. It looked like the Padres were going to sweep them. It was a big game on Saturday night, and that's when DeGrom basically just took over that Padres lineup. It was a 4-0 win for the Mets, and I just want to get this final stat line from DeGrom that night: 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. Still lower. 7 innings, 85 pitches. Finish out with
zero runs.
0 runs. So he has a .62 area right now.
It's insane, and we're getting pretty. It's like this. It's not that early in the year anymore. Like we're over a third of the way through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, so like I said, I'm going to get into this home run race right now. It's pretty incredible. Some of the names at the top of this list right now. Vlad Guerrero Jr., the 18 at the top of the list, and then I mentioned that Cardinals Reds game. There was the Reds were able to win 8-7. That was because Jesse Winker should be starting in the All-Star game. Three dingers in that game. He was part of the reason that I think he had a 2-run home run in the first and a 3-run home run in the second to go up 5-0 early, and then he able to hit a solo shot to go up 8-7. So he basically just won that game single-handedly for the Reds. And I think he's second in batting average behind his teammate Castellanos. So try to give Jesse Winker a shout out. He's tied for second with 17 with Tatis, Acuna, and Ohtani. So those are some great names. And
Ronnie's been, I've been tracking him. He's been
18 and 17 tonight. Those are some great names at the top of the list. Like, who knows? Like, I'm not saying it's going to be up in the 60s, but if we can get some sort of like home run race going like we did with McGuire and Sosa with some big names, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the substance things. This is because of the lack of hitting, there's been a lot more like, I know people are talking about moving the mound back, but I think that the thing that they're trying to crack down on right now is like taking care of like substances and gloves, because you've seen a lot, like you always see people like pitchers like touching their gloves, get some extra substance. So they said like they might start ejecting people and suspending them for 10 days if they get like visual proof of it.
I mean, yeah. And what was that quote from Cole tonight? Did you see that?
Yeah, it was because they announced it, and Cole's only start since then, it was against Tampa, and he gave up like 5 runs, like including I think he had a big home run by Austin Meadows. So I think people were like, "Oh, is Cole like?"
Because was the success just because of that? Yeah,
because like all the stuff has been pretty new in the last couple of years, and that's kind of when he's taken off. Like he was pretty good in Pittsburgh, but he didn't really take off till he got to Houston. So, and that's something to talk about. And even like Bauer has been so vocal like against it, and then once he realized he wasn't able to like okay, if you guys aren't gonna do this, he's like, can't beat him and join him, and that's how like he's gotten his like Cy Young, right? Like he didn't get it on, I think it was either Saturday and Sunday. He didn't get blown up, but he definitely didn't have like a great start down in Atlanta. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see like are some of these like star pitchers gonna fall off. It's because it's just these spin rates on some of these pitches are incredible.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, the guy. So it's going to be something to watch in the coming weeks. Like clearly it's not affecting Grom, but
right. He's just that.
I think that's what made that start way more incredible, because like I think Kershaw got rocked.
Like right when they started cracking.
Kershaw got rocked this week. Cole got rocked this week. Like Bauer didn't look that impressive. And then right in the meantime, you just see him just doing whatever the heck he wants. So
yeah. Absolutely. All right. So I think that'll kind of wrap up baseball. We'll obviously keep an eye there. Also, just a final note: the Sixers did wrap it up against the Hawks and beat it 40-13. So monster game from here to tie that series up, going down to Atlanta. And we're just going to tip off here with the Clippers and Jazz, literally just starting just seconds ago. No Mike Conley tonight for the Jazz. And then let me flip over quickly to see if we can get an update on this Avalanche. I think they were up 1-0 in this game. It was still 1-0 with 12:58 to go in the second period there. All right. Now going back to, again, we have a few final topics I think we want to talk about tonight, Mike. First is we'll briefly get into football. Big news was Julio being traded to the Titans. I think it was something that was him being traded, at least in general, was on the wall for a long time, and it finally came through. As we were getting towards the end of the week, it seemed like the Titans were going to be the destination. that ends up happening. I think they actually reworked Tannehill's contract to kind of get all the money right. But obviously, yeah, exactly. Replacing and then some the loss of Corey Davis,
and John Smith.
And well, I meant strictly from a wide receiver standpoint, but
Yeah.
But then he also AJ Brown offered him number 11, but he declined. It looks like he's gonna wear number 8 with this new
yeah, I mean,
single digit.
And you go single digits, why not? I feel like it's fun. And you're not gonna get fined because you got traded.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah, you don't have to buy the new jersey. You're just a new player on the team. Exactly. So yeah, that was kind of the big news there. Cam injury. I don't know if we sorry.
Did he wear 8 in college?
I was just thinking that he definitely wore. I'm pretty sure he wore single digits, but I could be wrong. Or maybe he was 11 in college as well. We'll have to look this up. Anyway, Cam injured. I don't know how much of a storyline that is. If anything, it just helps or maybe accelerates the Mac Jones situation. But we'll obviously just keep an eye on that.
I was ignoring the Patriots until end of July.
Fair enough. I know they always try to squeeze it into sports radio so much. Then a Rodgers no show at Packers camp. I think he'll end up showing up. There's
it's still mini camp. I think
it's mini camp. Yeah,
only 3 days.
If it was any other year, it wouldn't even be a story. But yeah,
it's only 3 days. He's just gonna swallow his $90,000 of fines.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's just kind of a quick NFL note there. We'll quickly go through some miscellaneous items here. Coach K with that weird again.
He was number 8.
He was number 8. Okay, well, that makes more sense. So Coach K, again, I guess this makes sense if you go there and you're a fan, but that weird cascada every time we touch at his press conference announcing this was his final season. I think it's because, so that's its own thing, which again, was just very strange, but also kind of funny now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the whole retirement tour thing, so many guys do it. I'm not a huge Coach K fan either, but I'm not really going to fault him for that just because so many people did it. Ortiz did it. And I don't know. I can't really blame him for that one.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of these people announce it first week of the season, or that kind of immediately takes it out of the buzz out of the team. Where he's saying it now, where he's okay, it's not gonna be a distraction the first month. I mean, of course he'll get questioned about it, but it's not gonna be this press conference happened a week into the year, and that's the whole pay attention to me, not the team thing. Now he's pay attention to me now in the off season, but once the team starts, it's okay, of course it's going to be my retirement tour, but it won't be of course there's going to be a lot of attention on him. It's not going to be as, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a notch below. It's still a lot, but
I don't know. So many guys do that. I don't really. I have a lot of problems with him, but that's not one of them.
Especially too if they're hiring from within with John Shire. He mentioned the end of the year. That's
true too. Yeah, almost be a mentor in that situation. Also, Mike, just with I have some shocking news here. With 9:35 left in the first quarter, Marcus Morris got a technical foul.
Shocking.
I just saw that pop up. I'm oh my god, that's hilarious. So yeah, in kind of going the complete other way, Saban's not going anywhere. He just signed an extension with Bama, so getting paid once again, and it looks like we'll have many more championships to come in Bama for the next decade or so.
I think that this will probably be his last extension.
I would think so because he's already almost 70, right?
It goes to 29.
It goes to 29. Okay, yeah. So yeah, he'd be pretty well into his 70s at that point. But roll tide, I guess. Central Quality won the Belmont. Again, we both kind of even forgot that happened this weekend. I saw they were the favorite. I almost wanted to put money on because it was 2-1, but I don't know.
It was one of those things where I knew the Bruins were starting at 7:15 because of the Belmont, but I was just in the whole rush of getting into the city. I'm okay,
yeah, a lot going on. Couldn't really pay attention there, but yeah, Central Quality wins there. I also see here I don't even need to ask this question because this is true. Biles is the GOAT. Yes, she is. She hasn't finished lower than first since 2013. So doing moves that have never been done before and getting them named after herself. So yeah, I'd say she's reached GOAT status, and we'll obviously see that in a few weeks now. A month and a half ish.
I think it's July 24th or something like that.
Yeah, So we're a month and a half. Yeah. So we'll see here in action. That's honestly like again with the Olympics. That's honestly one of my favorite events to watch. I think personally, it just is like the gymnastics. I think it's insane the stuff that they do. Especially now that like Phelps isn't in his prime. That was kind of an appointment for a while. Something with like Usain, but from a team perspective, yeah. And then I mean, basketball's fun to watch too, just because you're like, oh, there's that guy. He's on that team, and then USA usually dominating. But
I like the niche sports like water polo and handball.
Water polo, yeah, I love handball. Yeah, water polo would be nice. Oh, that'd be good too. We'll have that kind of once. I mean, we'll have a lot of baseball to talk about, but mini camp will be started. We'll be done with. I guess these will still be kind of. This will end up kind of right before it. I think all the.
Nope. Well, that'll be our NBA draft.
That's true. We'll have NBA draft as well. But yes, that'll be fun to watch as well. I don't even know if I'm just gonna mention that this fight occurred. I guess is the best way to put it.
I think Mayweather said he's the best at legalized robbery, and I agree with him.
Hey, I respect it. You know, at least if you're gonna like, I don't know, don't be like, oh no, it was like legit. It's like no, all right, like yeah.
He sparred with the YouTuber.
That's literally what happened.
Millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. That's why I'm like, okay, especially that it was on a Sunday. He almost did everyone a favor because he didn't. Because I'm like, oh, I have no interest in this. I'm like, it's a Sunday night. Like, no way. I'm not. What? And you're facing a YouTuber. Like, no way. I'm not certain.
It was one of those things like, well, everyone's gonna be talking about it, so I'll find a stream. Like,
I did not even want to do that. I'm like nothing's. Especially when there's not even gonna be a winner. I'm like, the why? What do we do?
Well,
like Michael Cera. Why am I even playing?
Well, someone got knocked out. That would have been a winner.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. So like you could still bet on it, but like all the bets were voided.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a stupid thing that happened this weekend, but again, I think we have some legit fights coming up this year. So
Charizard was cool though.
I hate him, but I do have to give him that. That was kind of cool. The Pokemon card necklace, yeah, that was kind of fun. All right, then U.S. Soccer. I don't even fully understand what that was. It was versus Mexico, right?
I didn't know what was happening until everyone started tweeting about Pulisic. But
hey, we won.
Yeah, we won some sort of CONCACAF thing.
Can we just make the World Cup next year? Like, please. That's all I'm asking for.
Has that already been figured out, or that was 18? Because that was the what are we doing rant, and that was like 2016.
That was not. Oh wait, but then we're already in 2021. I don't think we didn't make it yet, and we haven't made it yet either. I think we're still up in the air because it's also late next year.
Oh yeah,
it's like in December because of Qatar. But I don't know. Well, we'll have to figure that one out. We'll get there. I don't think they didn't qualify again. I would really be surprised if that happened. I think there'd be more talk about that. But and then finally, as we find that answer, the John Rahm debacle that happened this weekend. I didn't know the story until I listened to part of my take the other day, Mike. That he was at an event with someone, and that he thought that if you ran out and got the first vaccine, that he'd be like fine.
Yeah, that was. Well, it was because, of course, Dad had it on down there. And I saw Rahm was running away with it. And I was like, of course, the dude I bet on to win the PGA is now killing it 2 weeks later. And I was like,
yeah.
And then we were out, and I think he like went to the bathroom or like got around, and like the coverage, or I think it was just still they still had NBC on for the Bruins game, and it was just NBC News, and it was like cutting to like the sports segment, and it was like weird disqualification, and it showed John Rahm. Like, what the heck happens? I literally had to text Dave, and he's like, yeah, he tested positive, or like had a coronavirus thing, and I think he tried to hide it with getting a vaccine, but
yeah, that's just like that's not how science works. Can't get the thing after you get, I don't know, the preventative thing after you already probably have it. And again, not to get too into the whole thing, it's just like, how hard is it to just get it? Like, I don't know. Like, no one else is having this problem. And if you're not, like, then follow more rule. I don't know. It seems stupid. But at the same time, again, I definitely fault him for that. But then also at the same time, like, yeah, it's the end of the round. Like, why can't he just go out by himself tomorrow? Even like you want to make him, it's like, all right, you can play, but you have to wear a mask the whole time or something like that. I don't know. Like, there's ways around it than just disqualifying him from the event. So that did kind of suck because he just, what, a 6-stroke lead?
Yep.
Yeah. So that was kind of, I don't know. Especially at this stage of the game, you do have so many guys that are vaccinated and places opening up. So yeah, I don't know. That was a little dumb, but I don't know. Again, a lot of minor things that happened in between all of these kind of major events that went down with the playoffs and the other leagues here. So we just kind of wanted to, I think, finish up with those items there. Any other final notes there, Mike?
No, I don't.
We still look at the USA soccer situation.
Yeah, I thought we were CONCACAF, but like, I don't see USC anywhere because like it's like
Well, only time will
because
tell.
it's like real like because like it's like I think qualifying is like starting like now. Like I found an ESPN
Got it.
article how qualifying works around the world for the 2020 World Cup, and it's dated June 6th.
All right. Well, fair enough.
Like CONCACAF seems to be like the like Americas because I see like Canada, El Salvador, U.S.
No,
version.
we're in that. We should be
Yeah.
in that, right?
Yeah, there's groups like I see like Haiti, Trinidad, and Tobago. I could just be blind.
I don't know. We'll figure it
I
out.
also like don't even see Mexico in here. So
Like we're gonna figure it out.
all right, well, bye everyone.
Hey, no, come on. No, it's just like I don't know, it's just like one of those things where I feel like time will just eventually tell us what the deal is. But yeah, like I said, we'll have a lot to catch up with again. Hopefully, this is the weekend we actually get that second edition on the books. We're not waiting another week. We'll have to make it happen somewhere or another, Mike. I think we can figure something out. But don't know if you have any wild plans this weekend after your birthday, anyway. But we'll figure something out. I said that last time we didn't, but I'm pretty confident we can this time around. So we get good to get back on here, and we'll be even deeper into some of these playoffs. A lot to talk about next time. And thanks everyone as always for tuning in.
Peace.